So we are actually starting off today's show with some Diablo
No,
Immortal
hejka.
conversations.
Witam,
Also,
witam,
I do want
dobra.
to mention we're using new fancy mics today.
Ooh.
We've been joking around, and I call them the Britney Spears mic.
Right.
Rod calls them the Janet Jackson mic.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Jackson.
It's because I'm older.
Rod, but is not wearing one
I
of
refuse.
them.
It doesn't take a genius to see the size of my head, and the ability to put that little wire around this size of noggin is impossible. So therefore, I've passed.
Disappointing. But he does have a really good impression of Britney Spears.
I am not doing it now.
Oh.
I am not doing it.
Okay, maybe we can get it out of him.
I'll knot my shirt later. It'll be good.
Maybe we can get it out of him during Q&A. Someone asked that
Cześć,
question
Diablo,
in,
cześć,
in Twitch
cześć.
chat. We'll make sure to bring that up during Q&A. And
Great.
there you go. You're just on the spot and you have to answer it. So
I think it's important that, like, last time you clarified what we were doing was the
Okay.
campfire, which is more of a casual, we're just kind of giving updates. You know, we just want to be able to talk to the community.
Yes.
This is more of a developer stream, so it's a bit more official.
Yes.
But
Okay.
one of the things we wanted to recognize too is that, like, as a family of games, there's lots of cool stuff happening within in Diablo, and so we don't always want to just be focused on just D4. We want, anytime there's something big or really interesting happening within Diablo, we want to be able to talk about it. You know, I could imagine we're going to have a season 29 conversation for Diablo 3 at some point in the future. And so one of the things we're going to do today was not just talk about, you know, we are definitely going to talk about season 1 on Diablo 4. And for some reason, Adam has structured this to be as tantric as possible. We'll get there, trust us, but it's going to take a minute. But what we really want to look at as well is we want to talk about we're going to talk a little bit about what's the preseason before we go into season 1. We're going to talk about, you know, what's going on with D4 today, because we actually have some news about today. Another tease, didn't mean that. And and then we want to talk a little bit about Diablo Immortal, because something pretty incredible is happening in Diablo Immortal, which is in nearly a decade we're having
Diablo Immortal, no nie.
Diablo character class is being revealed, and we wanted to reveal it here on this stream. So, you know, one of the great things about Blizzard is the SFD team, Story and Franchise,
84,000, ja pierdzielę.
Blizzard Video and everything
O,
that
grubo.
they do around cinematics, and we thought, how could we introduce a new character class without having a kick-ass video to go with it? So, without further ado, may we present to you the new Diablo character class coming to Diablo Immortal very, very
Ale
soon.
to no nie mówcie, że będą... No dobra, nowe klasy do Diablo Immortal.
The darkness has always been with us. And humanity is right to fear it. The darkness wants to consume you and all you love. But my kind claim its power.
Ło.
Wield it
O!
defiance.
Wilkołak?
Humanity is right to fear the darkness. But I,
Siema, konik szpitalu? Ojej, a co tam się stało?
darkness, fears me.
Co tam się porobiło, Honiek? Wątpiesz, tak. Ty, to wygląda chyba jak jak taka kopia tego. Kopia, ojej. Nie Wampira Maskarady, tylko Castlevanii, nie? Blood Knight. Okej. No dobra.
And there we have it.
Przepoklina.
The new class coming to Diablo and Diablo Immortal.
Okay.
It's the Blood Knight.
July 13th. It's
July
like
13th.
a little over a week away.
Exactly.
Sounds like there might have been some encoding issues.
Exactly. Yeah, I know that some people are talking about there's a little bit of hitching on it and so forth. I will say that we actually do have that trailer that will be on a blog on DiabloImmortal.com immediately after the stream, so people can actually check it out. It will be on YouTube along with all the details that we're about to talk about. We just like to get ahead of ourselves. That's all. But obviously,
No,
first
ale
new class to
filmik im
Diablo
ciął i to
universe
zdrowo.
in nearly 10 years. I think there's a lot of questions in regards to like the story and so forth behind.
Myślałem, że to u mnie, ale widzę, że tutaj animacja jest w porządku, stream jest w porządku.
Background regarding the Blood Knight itself.
Yeah, sure. So I think historically,
No ale może być ciekawa ta klasa. Siema Madziulka, witam. O, fajna ikonka.
Very stalwart classes that all of us
Czarny ser.
that many of us have been playing for decades, and it's great to kind of indulge in that nostalgia. It's great to get that dopamine hit of playing a classic, but after 6 classes, it left us with the opportunity to do something that felt really new and different. To do a supernatural class that's kind of monstrous, that does things that our other dark classes like the Necromancer and the Demon Hunter don't do. And so we're really, really stoked about the opportunity to release the Blood Knight on everybody.
Nice. Yeah, I know. Like, obviously, everyone's kind of seeing the Blood Knight and they're thinking, like, is this like vampiric in some sort of way, or like how does this fit in with the actual lore within Diablo?
Right. So the fine details are Blood Knights and vampires are intertwined. On Sanctuary, vampires are kind of like living plagues. They go from hunting ground to hunting ground. They kill people, they bite people, and sometimes people who they've bitten, they suffer this monstrous transformation. They start to devolve into what we call thralls, kind of like lesser vampiric beings, long teeth, hunger for blood, all that stuff. And a Blood Knight is a person who, through means of an ancient ritual, has that curse of thraldom arrested inside them, frozen essentially in place. They get some advantages, but they get some drawbacks too.
What do you mean the curse of turning into a thrall is a drawback?
Well, their thraldom is essentially on pause.
Okay.
So basically what happens is a Blood Knight, also preternaturally strong and fast, can see in the dark, can smell blood from a mile away, doesn't age anymore, as you've seen in the concept art, very, very fancy. But on the flip side, you know, they have these blood red eyes, they have black veins in their face, makes people uncomfortable. and maybe
why.
Yeah, I know, right? And sort of more pivotally than that, you know, deep inside their soul.
Okej, fajnie się zapowiada. No.
A monstrous darkness that hungers
Siema.
for violence.
2 komputery. Siemanko, witam, witam.
To slow their transformation further, they have to perform a ritual. That keepsake.
Okej.
You saw
No,
in
ty to
our
wcześniej chodzisz
cinematic
spać zawsze,
right
także.
hand, the little thing on the
Oh,
chain.
the chain, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically their lifeline. So
like a link to their past.
yeah. It's got a memento within of the last place that they were kind of truly human.
Right.
Okay.
And so every morning, noon, and night, they're doing ablutions with this thing to hopefully continue to keep the darkness at bay. But, you know, it's a process.
Right.
The ritual, it's hearsay. You know, it's been passed down for hundreds of years. And for basically every Blood Knight, you know, it may fail at some point. All Blood Knights are doomed to one day succumum to their curse.
And they don't know if that's 1 day, 1 year, 1,000 years.
Could
They
be
don't
O
know.
kurde.
Right,
No,
they're very, very
fajne
vulnerable.
są
What
koncept
they
arty.
do know and what they pledge on is that they're going to use all of the time they have left to push back the darkness. And ultimately, for them,
ciekawy
since that
koncept.
is such an uncertain question, it's really about their inner sense of balance. Can I
Bardzo
do
ciekawy
enough
koncept.
good
Right.
to make up for the evil that will rise when I'm gone?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out because we had the art up there earlier, and that art is gorgeous looking. At the same time, they're very pretty. I've been joking about it. I'm like, oh, look, they're so pretty.
Well, if you were going to turn into a monster, you'd want to stop
Well,
right
it's
here,
funny
right?
because they're very like gorgeous here, and then they turn into the abomination, which is really funny to see. So it's like a complete like opposite
Well,
of what it is.
I mean, you mentioned the abomination. I think we saw we saw the Blood Knight turn into this creature during.
No, jak
so what
zawsze
what
Blizzard
actually
w
is
świetnej
going
formie, jeżeli
on
chodzi
here?
o
Like,
animację,
this is
to nie wiem.
I guess Chris
Oni
was
mają
talking
dar do
eventually
tego,
about, like,
naprawdę.
how an abomination
Tak żałowałem,
but
że...
this is basically them
Żałowałem.
tapping
No,
into what's inside
naprawdę
them to
uważam, że na
change
przykład
form.
Yeah, they're
Warcraft,
letting the curse off the leash just a little
film,
bit. It's gonna grant them extreme
że nie był
power in the
zrobiony
short
przez
term.
nich.
The Bruce Banner Hulk thing.
Yeah,
O,
but maybe there's
nawet
a little
godzinę
image
czasu, nie
here
musi
for
być
their
półtorej.
flag.
Godzina czasu, wszystko animowane.
Right.
Byłoby to.
Awesome.
To by
Well,
było
I
to,
know
nie?
with Blood Knight, obviously, like, it's new class. How does it fit, Chris, into the like a gameplay style? Like, what if you're playing at Blood Knight? What can you expect the style to be as a person that's actually jumping into Diablo?
Yeah, so the Blood Knight is actually a melee hybrid class, meaning there's tons of up-close combat with polearms. However, they have a host of shadow and blood abilities they can use to manipulate the battlefield in their favor. I think the drawback of Blood Knights might be that players that start playing it might feel that their mobility is limited. However, they have tons of legendary essences to help them improve the ability to close the gap on enemies, as well as life-stealing abilities to help them sustain themselves in lengthy combat sequences.
Got it. So like in combat more often, close combat, so they're essentially taking more damage, but then they have abilities themselves to actually essentially drain, as we can see, kind of like life from others, essentially replenish their life while they're in combat.
The kebab attack, as I like to call it,
The skewer.
the skewer attack is my favorite thing right now. I was like, so what's happening there? We saw it in the trailer. We see it here as well, is where they're basically able to stab an enemy, smash it around
Tak.
like as if on the end of a hammer. So that's.
Na razie nie mogę.
Chris is like, yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah,
You
no,
defined it.
It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Na razie nie
But
mogę,
it actually
synku,
has
okej?
a stun
Zaraz się
as
to
well,
wszystko
right? It's not
wytłumaczę.
just the attack on the one thing that you skewered. It actually you can it has a
Okej,
melee
zapowiada
effect.
się no ciekawie.
so
Tylko
the Blood Knight
nie siadałem jeszcze
stabs
do
the
Immortala
polearm
w
forward
ogóle.
into the closest enemy,
Jakoś
then
tak
swings
nie za
over
bardzo mam
the
ochotę.
enemy and
Jestem
slams it into the
anty
ground, stunning
gry
everyone
mobilne,
with small
że tak
AoE.
powiem, więc
And there are also legendary
wszystkie gry
essences
mobilne,
that
które
let you
wyszły do tej
lunge
pory, no
forward
nie
and
kojarzę
actually
żadnej
beat
dobrej gry
to
mobilnej.
perform the
Żadnej.
Oh, nice.
Nie kojarzę.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Więc
And then I know, like, of course, with every class in Immortal, they all have different ultimates depending on their primary attack skills and so forth. Like, what kind of two different ultimates can we expect with the Blood Knight?
Yeah, I could talk a bit about the primary attacks. The first is Ravage. They're basically swinging their polearm around in a 3-hit combo. And right here is the ultimate, where they become a 5-hit combo with a stun at the end. And
Dual wielding polearms. That's I like.
And the other primary attack they have is called Shadow's Edge. It's quite a unique one. It's the first in Immortal where the in melee range, the Blood Knight will do a slash, and for enemies that are further away, they'll actually throw the dagger forward. And there are legendary essences that add damage over time, or
Okay.
the dagger ricochet.
Nice. So you can essentially it's good room clear type
No, ale
of
to-
abilities is what I'm hearing. So if you got a ton of mobs,
To i tak
especially,
okaże się w praniu,
if the
no.
daggers are ricocheting and
Może być
you
fajnie,
mentioned
mogą
piercing and so
odsywać, a
forth with the
potem jak się
ultimate and
klasa nie
everything,
przyjmie,
you
bo
can
oczywiście
essentially
w
clear
rękach
out
graczy to
problems
wszystko
with
wychodzi
that.
na
So
jaw, nie?
it's awesome to hear.
Jak coś
I
się
know,
da
as you
zepsuć, to
mentioned
oczywiście
beforehand,
gracze zepsują, więc...
Tons of legendary essences and everything that are associated
O,
to kind of
widzicie jak
modify
tnie
skills.
wideo? No,
I know,
to u nich
and
się
we're
dzieje.
even seeing here, this is like the abomination that we were talking about beforehand.
Why would I want to become the abomination?
O, strasznie tnie.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the Abomination a bit. The way it works is it is a transformative skill that requires defeating enemies to fill the bar, much like your ultimate.
Right.
However, it happens much more often, and it then transforms your entire skill bar into a new primary attack, followed by two specific skills, a Blood Rush, where the Blood Knight actually dashes forward in a ball of blood. And then there's a 3-hit combo attack where if on the last hit they fly into the air and slam the ground, stunning everyone.
Okej.
A lot of stuns.
Nice.
O, ale
Nice,
tnie.
that's awesome to see. I think the with this update that's coming out on the 13th and the Blood Knight itself, and there are like even other components.
Ale 13 teraz lipca, czy co?
Coming with this actual update. Do you guys have any like additional information on?
Well, there's ways to play it, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the things that's really interesting. Like, I think having a new character class introduced on basically the anniversary of Diablo Immortal is really exciting. Like, it's a great way to celebrate 1 year that Immortal has been. It's hard to believe it's already been a year. It's crazy. But so having a new character, but I've been like a whirlwind barbarian for a year now, and loving that. And so now I'm going to obviously. Well, one of the great things about Immortal is that you can class change. So I can take my Paragon 500 Barbarian. I know that's not high. Thank you very much. I can take my Paragon 500 Barbarian and turn it into a Blood Knight. Yes. Because there's basically 3 ways. We have the player who's been playing for a year, like myself. We have the new player, and we have the test driver. Right, is the way to think about that. So maybe you can go through that.
Yeah, totally. So if you're brand new to Immortal and have never played before, you can play the Blood Knight right out of the gate, create a new character completely free, and start with the main story complete with custom Blood Knight VO lines for all of the main quests. And for players like Rod, who have been playing for a while and want to convert to this class, I'm happy to say that we've made some major improvements to class change. Strength and Intelligence will now convert properly.
I know, it's a huge request that a lot of people are asking for, yes.
Yes, it's going to be great. And also, players will be able to, during the event, change to the Blood Knight on a one-day cooldown, and also revert back infinitely. So if you decide you don't like playing the Blood Knight, you can revert the day of, or if you want to try it again tomorrow, you can go ahead and change back to the Blood Knight.
Nice. Awesome.
And lastly, I want to talk about the Crimson Plane event. So for Immortal players that are familiar with Fractured Plane, there will be a special Crimson Plane event where there'll be.
So I think a lot maybe don't know what Fractured Plane. So maybe just what's the 5-second version of what is Fractured Plane?
So Fractured Plane is basically a roguelite inside of Immortal where you're able to try out all of the skills and abilities and build towards 15 levels of defeating enemies just to try out different skills.
You basically start with a fresh class, and so you're taking your character. Like I have a very specific build with very specific gear. But if I wanted to go play Fractured Planes, it says, "Oh, you're a barbarian. Here's some random skills. See how far you can get with this," and you build up your gear and stuff as you're playing through this roguelike experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so now for the Blood Knight introduction, you've created Crimson Planes, which is a version of the same experience to go and test drive all the different Blood Knight skills?
Exactly. So you'll be able to try out different skills and legendary essences without actually committing to changing to the class. So just try it out, see if you like it, and if you do, there's always class change available.
Nice.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. So we have, and we have other things like I mentioned that are coming in this actual update. I know that for any new player that's coming in, of course, they can create a Blood Knight, how we mentioned beforehand, customize it, and it's completely free. And then, of course, any existing character can do class changes if they want, or they can create a new character if they would like to do it that way as well.
Okay.
But I know we have like a new legendary gem that's going to be coming in this actual update as well. And then we even have just other like,
O,
like
cześć Jenna,
items
witam, hejka.
associated with this specific patch.
Aha,
They'll
w
be able to-
porządku.
Legendaries for the
Miau.
Blood Knight, too,
Yeah,
which is
and
great.
we're actually going to be listing out every
yeah.
single
Cześć.
legendary
Blog,
that
yeah.
is available for the Blood Knight on our blog immediately.
No,
after
czekam
the
aż
stream. So,
będą jakieś
you guys
informacje
can check out
odnośnie
the
Diablo 4,
cinematic trailer that
bo
we
na
showed
razie
off
Diablo
for the
Immortal
Blood
tak nie
Knight
bardzo
earlier,
mnie
on
interesuje.
that blog, and of
Znaczy
course
w ogóle mnie
all
nie
the
interesuje
details about
Diablo
what's
Immortal.
coming in this update that is hitting on the 13th of July, so soon. It's crazy. We do. We're super stoked. The cinematic is amazing, by the way. I just want to like.
Why are you,
highlight.
for people who didn't get to see it in full frame rate, you're basically rubbing their noses right now.
Essentially, like
Go watch it again, please.
see it in the Blizzard Cinematics team. Amazing team. That cinematic is great. Nothing like seeing blood splattered all over some stained glass.
Okej.
Diablo. So it makes perfect sense. It's great. But we are super stoked. So yeah, July 13th is when it's going to be coming out. And then of course,
July. Okej,
again,
czyli
check
teraz wychodzi.
diabloimmortal.com immediately after the
14
stream.
lipca
We'll
ten
have a
dodatek.
blog up there for people to check out all the
Yeah,
details.
congratulations, guys, on the
Yep.
year. It's been an amazing year for Immortal. And I think people who maybe tried it at launch and haven't gone back to take a look at it, like the basically every quarter we do major updates and really change the game. So the ability to craft set items, the ability to take your duplicate legendaries and turn that into a currency so that you can make your current legend, stronger, and the way that you do dungeons now, like, and the tower, the clan play, like there's just so much else going on. So it's a free-to-play game. If you want to go check it out, just to see all the changes, like I said, there's been in a year. It's to me, it's a completely different game in the sense of the different ways that you can approach the content, which is exciting. But hearing the fact that you fully recorded all VO for the Blood Knight for the campaign, I think it'll be exciting to go back and start over.
Yeah, it's about 2,000 lines in total. We've got a pair of really, really awesome voice actors, Abby Trott and Ben Prendergast. Absolutely killed it as the Blood Knight. It's just pure haughtiness and bloodlust and action all the way through. They've got some interesting takes on. I was going to say the name of the villain, our Act 3 villain in Darkwood. Some interesting perspectives there. But yeah, I don't think there's ever really been a better time to re-roll, to start a new run through the main story.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much, and congratulations.
Thanks so much,
thank you.
Rod. We're stoked.
And we're going to be now switching over to D4 content. We're actually going to take like a really short break because we got to swap people in. This room's only so big. And we also need mics off of people and everything. But we're going to be swapping in into our Diablo 4 segment. So we'll see you here in a
O,
minute
i to
or so.
jest to. Za kolor koszulek i spodni. No. Okej. O, jest dobre. Ta animacja jest świetna po prostu. To nie jest real. Albo mają to cutscenki, wiadomo. No to jest Blizzard we wszystkich cutscenkach, to jest w animacjach, to jest. No nie wiem, to jest czasami jest taki przestrzał między grą a animacjami, że.
In his holy name.
I tak do tej pory żałuję, że filmem Warcraftem nie zajęło się właśnie studio Blizzarda, tylko nie wiem kto tam robiło. Chyba Universal. Pięknie. Właśnie nawet nie wiem co się stało z Tyraelem. Pewnie wrócił, tak. Ale nie przypominam sobie, żeby w trójce, żeby w trójce coś tam było. I to jest właśnie, widzisz Lilith, i to jest właśnie dziwne bardzo podejście. I to jest bardzo dziwne podejście.
in the world.
Nie chodzi mi o ciebie, ale chodzi mi o twórców. Chodzi mi o Blizzarda. Bardzo dziwne podejście.
Maybe you should actually
Bardzo
introduce
dziwne
people,
podejście.
I will introduce people. We are now joined by our wonderful Diablo 4 developers.
Ukazanie Diabła dobrego? No przecież to po prostu nie ma sensu.
One of the lead producers on Diablo 4, specifically focused on seasons. I say that because if you ask me questions outside of the
Wiesz, to jest, jeżeli
no idea what's going on.
idziesz w tą stronę,
more than one
to
series.
nagle wiesz, okaże się, że będziesz miała gry, nie wiem, o nazistach, którzy byli super, no nie? O komunizmie, którzy tam kwiatkami rzucali, wiesz, i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Jak nie ma takiego takiego, jakby to ująć, rozdzielenia między złem a dobrem, to potem wychodzą głupoty, no. To jest takie powolne zakłamywanie świata i rzeczywistości. Ale doskonale cię rozumiem, bo ja też w pewnym momencie mówię, ty, no ej, przecież ja zacząłem kibicować Lilith, a nie tym dobrym, no kurde.
But there are cool things to actually talk about.
Correct. Obviously it's been a little over a month since Diablo 4 has launched.
It's only been a month.
Nie o to mi chodzi.
No, but you're right. It is. Like,
Nie o to mi chodzi, ale w tym momencie zło ma swoje oblicze. To nie jest tak, że wszystko jest w obliczach szarości. Nie, zło jest złem, dobro jest dobre. Dlatego jest ono rozdzielone. Yin i yang. Jeżeli wszystko się zmiksuje, to nie będzie nic. To nic nie będzie. Bez dobra nie ma zła. W tym momencie, jeżeli zło przedstawia się jako dobro, to jest złe. Tam, żeby masz odcienie szarości. Okej, rozumiem. Z tym, że w każdej szarości masz dobro i masz zło. Nawet najmniejszy jakiś akcent. Masz dobro, masz zło.
Everybody, that's what's going to take.
He can start screaming.
Just scream at everybody.
You haven't seen
So
Joey
interrupted. So
scream.
you're talking about the 5 week. I was just shocked by the 5 week thing. But anyway, so yes, it's been 5 weeks.
Obviously it's been 5 weeks since we launched. We've had numerous
Więc
updates
dlatego
to the
uważam,
game,
że
hotfixes,
pójście w tą
patches,
stronę
campfire chat
jest
in
troszeczkę
between,
głębszą,
where we talked about,
wiesz,
even,
głębszą,
a big update
może
that's
być
coming before
wstępem do
13 page.
głębszego przekształcenia i prania mózgu.
14-point font, double spaced. And I'm like, maybe it was, but it still was very big. It was like 11 pages on the actual site. But we've addressed a lot of feedback and everything related to the game. We still have more feedback that we're actually going to be addressing. And I will say that later this afternoon,
Że Diablo zawsze było, wiesz, jesteśmy dobrzy, bo teraz gramy jako ci źli. No i generalnie, wiesz, ja za bardzo lubię się opowiadać po tej złej stronie, nie? Bo w pewnym momencie tak, też zacząłem kibicować Lili i mówię, ty, no ale to przecież ja gram przeciwko, no nie? Chcę ją dorwać i chcę ją zniszczyć, więc czy ja jestem tym złym? No, ale rozejrzałem się dookoła, spowodowała całe ten mord i tak dalej, no nie? Wszystkiego tam, całego sanktuarium, ludzie zaczęli się wyżynać, no nie? I to ona spowodowała, więc mówię, nie no kurde, ona nie jest dobra, no. Ale ta granica jest tak zatarta, że mówię, o... Zostaw deala.
Stupid for me as the GM to go like,
Tak.
I thought they already could drop uniques with Helltide Chest, so I was
Wiesz co?
mistaken there.
Yeah. It's so there
Nie
are
wiem.
some content types
Nie,
that the
kupiłem,
rewards are
zresztą
not dropping like unique items from it. So like like Whisper bounty caches, for example, don't have a chance to drop unique items when you turn in for those.
Didn't know that either.
Yeah, but I think that there's opportunities for us to continue to like
Także
expose
tutaj
more, stuff
wyraźnie,
like
no
these things moving
zło to
forward.
zło, dobro to
But
dobro, no
yeah,
nie
this is
może
not
być
being out.
inaczej,
Want to make
nie?
sure that when players are trying to target farm for certain kinds of uniques for their builds they need to grab in order to bring those things online, that those Whisper caches really can be used as a way to or not Whisper caches, the tortured gifts you can get from the Helltides events. Those are really good opportunities to go and try to go for those.
And that's this afternoon. So once 104 goes out, once your uniques can drop in.
That's
Helltide
right.
Chest.
That's right. That's this afternoon.
Yep, and I will say, like, we've been getting, like we've mentioned, I think many times already in this stream, we have been getting a lot of feedback related to bugs, issues, or even just like general gameplay feedback, and it's something that the team has been reading through and getting through, and those are things that, you know, obviously we're addressing as we get through all these different updates in the future and everything.
We're building a big backlog. Like, this is the thing, I was making the joke about they started before, like seasons started before we launched, just to try to set expectations. Like, we're moving as fast as we can, but we have to move also safely.
Poza tym bardzo dziwnie poszli kwestie stworzenia. Też tego nie za bardzo rozumiem. Bo Diablo było w oparciu o chrześcijanizm, wiadomo. Wszędzie były krzyże i tak dalej, kościoły. No, sprawa jasna. I nagle tak jakby zmienili, nie wiem, zmienili filozofię nagle, tak jakby to zupełnie inny świat, ale trzymają się kanonu, ale nie trzymają się kanonu. Też tego kompletnie nie jestem w stanie zrozumieć.
And we're doing our best to address it as quickly and as safely as possible. So just trying to manage expectations that sometimes it might feel, but again, it's only been 5 weeks. This is a game that we are going to, we're going to support for years to come. This is a foundation of, we said the launch was the beginning, not the end. And so we're going to be continuing to support this game through many seasons and through expansions and what have you. And so please just allow us some time to catch up and work through our backlog to get to those items that we know that you care about.
And I do want to note that as we were in preseason, we were obviously shooting out a lot of updates really quickly, and this is something we talked about a little bit on the campfire chat, but we are going to get into a more systematic way of being able to update the game, so it's not just going to be like ad hoc, hey, guess what, a new client patch type of thing, unless there's an emergency. But yeah, people start to find some familiarity with how we actually update the game around seasons and client patches that may occur, whether they are in between or only on seasons and so forth. So we'll have that actually communicated out, and people then know what to expect going forward when we do have different updates or different patches that actually do hit the game.
I think it's really important that we have now talked about things we did in the preseason. We've made a number of changes on the balance side. We've responded to a lot of player feedback. We've got 1.04 coming out later on this afternoon. But Adam, what do the people want to hear about?
Zombie! So we're actually now going to talk about. No, but we do want to talk about season 1. Season 1 is coming, and we actually have a really cool trailer to show off before we jump into it. So hit it, Rich and Matt.
Okay.
I am writing to you because although a great evil is receding from Sanctuary, a new festering curse now spreads its corruption across the land. More dangerous, more malignant than I could have imagined. I have found a way to stop this plague, to rip the dark power of these monsters from their very core and turn it to our advantage in destroying them.
Oh.
But I cannot do this alone. My allies have fallen. My strength is dwindling. The malignant are relentless and without mercy. I need help. I need you.
Season of the Malignant. Okay. Okej, 20 się rozpoczyna teraz League
First
Camp.
season of Diablo 4 coming out on July 20th. The season of the Malignant. Lots to talk about there. So we're actually going to jump into it. No, I'm just kidding. But obviously, a lot of people want to know what's going on. You know, we even teased it on social media yesterday, where something was corrupting Sanctuary. I guess Tim, Joe, explain to us what's going on now.
So season 1, the season of the Malignant. So our very, very first season in the game is going to basically take place after the events of Diablo 4. So after the the redacted and the redacted have happened and the player has finished redacting the redacted, once all that's out of the way, that's when things are really going to kick off in the world of Sanctuary. Kind of step off from that point. And there's a new threat that's basically emerged in Sanctuary. There's this malignance, there's this corruption that's begun to spread throughout like the hearts of the creatures throughout the world, and that's everything from like beasts to humans to demons themselves, everything in between. Can be corrupted by this malignance that's beginning to take root and fester inside inside people. And it's basically kind of like it's changing them. Right, it's turning them into these bloodthirsty fiends. Effectively, they're going out and trying to destroy everything. And it's threatening Sanctuary at a very, very, very high level. The player's going to come across a new character that they're going to introduce to over the course of the season, named Cormund, who we actually saw in the trailer there. Cormund is, there he is. Cormund is an ex-member of the Cathedral of Light. He used to be a priest of the Cathedral of Light. And he's taken it upon himself to start trying to dive deeper into this new malignant threat that's risen over the course of these days following the events of Diablo 4's main campaign. But he's finding himself maybe a little out of his depth. Would you say, Tim? Like, what do you think about Cormund?
Yeah, he's trying to fix the problem on his own, and then I think when he's not 100% successful, he comes to the player and says, "Hey, you were really helpful in the past. Could I get a hand from you?" So that's kind of where things start.
Yeah, he's very. I think that you'll find like he's a person. Everything in the room is on fire, but he's sitting there like, "I can fix it. You know, we can find a way to solve this, right?" But he's a great new character that the player get introduced over the course of the season. But that's really just where things kick off. Now, and players will start the season of Malignant actually in Kyovashad. And they're going to gain access to like the beginning of the story of the season pretty much right away. You know, so you're able to start off right at level 1, like jumping out of the gate and be able to start like following the thread of this new season storyline.
And we're going to talk about the transition from the current Eternal Realm into the season afterwards. We're going to get through the season information first.
Yeah.
Well, then I know people are really curious about what happens to my current character. How do I think about that transition? But we'll get to that after we get through the season details.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So that's the kind of like the high level, like what's happening in the world of Sanctuary.
Theme, right?
That's the theme,
we have a seasonal theme with a seasonal story, but like what about the mechanic? On top of the theme, there's usually the seasonal mechanics. So what's the mechanics that we're looking at?
We're trying to add more stuff to seasons that appeal to everything that a player does in Diablo 4. So we are adding story, the elements of what you're going to find out about what is actually happening to Sanctuary, but then we want things that are new challenges for the player, things that you can fight that maybe you haven't fought before, as well as new powers, things that you can build your character in a different way, a different direction than maybe you did in any previous season, or in this case in the preseason when you had just the Eternal Realm. So hitting all of those notes, we're starting with a mechanic around the threat. So what is the threat? The Malignant. We've been talking about it a lot. Where does the Malignant actually show up? That actually shows up throughout the entire game. When you're playing in the world of Sanctuary, anytime
pierwszy sezon się rozpoczyna 20 lipca teraz. Nawet nie wiem, w którym momencie cię wywaliło także.
Appear, the exposed malignant heart that was causing this. If you then interact with that heart by using a cage of binding, it now starts a ritual where it's pulling all the malignants in, and a new, even more powerful version of that elite is spawned.
Yep.
Why would you want this? How does this help you? Well, if you can manage to beat that even more powerful version where you see these other minions are now helping it, these other malignant creatures, now it drops the caged heart. You've actually put all that malignant power into this cage that is an item that you can use that is kind of like a gem. It's like a gem in the sense that you can socket it into gear. It is very much not like a gem in the sense that it has an enormous amount of power. Think of a legendary item, the kind of power that's in there. It's like that, maybe even a little bit more than that. So you can take these malignant hearts, you can socket them into your jewelry.
Nie ma informacji na temat nowej postaci. Wydaje mi się, że nowa postać będzie z dodatkiem raczej. To chyba z dodatkami wychodzą, nie? Nie z sezonami, tak mi się wydaje. Chyba, że nie mówisz o bohaterach, to tak, no to jakaś będzie nowych księżulek.
And that's what Malignant Hearts and the powers associated with Malignant Hearts really allow us to do. So one of these things, so yes, you can take a malignant heart that you've managed to collect from one of the consumed that you managed to kill, one of these super malignant creatures that you've killed this way, and you can socket them into your gear. We have over 30. We have 32 new. I'm not gonna say like over 30. We have 32 new malignant powers.
You know exactly how many powers.
Technically, it's 32. So we have 32 new malignant powers are going out this way. These are new legendary power-like abilities. You can see this one here: critical strikes, electrically charged creatures for a set amount of damage. So these like there's a lot of really powerful things like this that you'll be able to kind of like interact with over the course of time. But each of the malignant hearts you're collecting are actually like a category. They're associated with a color. So if like brutal hearts, for example, or like have a blue color to them, and they'll only go in infested sockets you'll find on rings and jewelry during the season of the malignant of a matching color.
I see.
So when you're hunting for when you're finding new amulets and rings or gambling at the opals vendor, whatever it is you want to do, you're kind of looking for specific socket colors.
Or if you're getting a unique ring from the new Helltide chest rewards as you're playing from the one.
That's right. If you happen to luck out and get Mother's Embrace because you need another Mother's Embrace, then yes, you can absolutely.
One will never do. But what's interesting,
so
there's 3 different types of color sockets. Yes.
There's 3 different types of colored sockets, but there's 4 different types of malignant hearts.
Yes. Go on.
Well, okay, I guess I will. So the last malignant heart type is called basically a wrathful. It's an extremely powerful malignant heart type. They're very, very rare to find. They will fit in any colored socket as you go. And you kind of want a combination of all of these. So even though the wrathfuls are pretty strong, you're really only looking to probably have like 1 or 2 of these based on what you might actually need for your build, over the course of time. So it's fun, really want to be able to experiment with, again, creating these different problems for players to solve, different ways for players to engage with things, and really change up that experience by virtue of adding these new powers. They can unlock different builds potentially for classes, to Tim's point, and just basically be like a really fun, exciting new way for players to kind of inject new power into the experience.
But you're looking for so can the jeweler, when the jeweler right now can add a socket to, a piece of jewelry? Are they able to add colored sockets, or are those only
you can't choose the color, but anytime a ring would roll with a socket when the season of malignant starts, it's always going to have a color associated with it. There's not you couldn't get just a regular jewel socket.
But even a jeweler created one? Like if I have a ring with no socket, when I do the jeweler, it'll be colored?
It'll always be colored. Yeah, it'll always be an infested socket in this way.
Got it.
Yeah.
But that's true for unique. So if I'm looking for I have a unique ring, like you talked
No ale
about,
czekaj,
that
tam
I
w
want
Polsce był
the
chyba jeszcze
blue. I
mnik,
couldn't
nie?
find a
Ten
unique with the red socket,
Kung Fu Master,
socket,
tak?
So I'm looking for blue. So
Yeah,
there'll
you might be
be
Mistrz
multiple
Kung Fu
versions
był
of
chyba,
unique
nie?
as well, right?
Dobrze mówię?
Yeah. So yeah, fun new stuff to look forward to, and that's just, we showed in the video
trójce
earlier,
był.
like the player fighting a malignant creature. There's a chance for, as Tim pointed out, there's a chance for all kinds of elites out there in the world to be malignant in nature, which makes them a little bit more powerful. But then when you kill them and you go and you actually use the Cage of Binding to capture their heart, then you fight that super consume the consume version. It's that's gonna be buffing nearby monsters. It spawns a bigger combat in that scene. There's more to look forward to, and those get tougher and tougher. And you want to fight higher and higher level versions of those in higher world tiers to get even better versions of those hearts.
Yeah, so you can get stronger versions of the hearts as you get further into the game, and you might be thinking okay, does that mean the old, the crappy hearts that I got earlier, are those useless? You can actually break those down at the crafter as well to get a crafting material out of them that allows you to craft new items, including invokers. So invokers are something that you can use a little bit further on once you finish the campaign of Season 1. You will unlock the ability to go and use these at a specific place called a malignant tunnel. So if you are...
By the way, that's also the name of my colonoscopy.
Co to za tunele?
And
it's a serious thing when you're over 50. You should know that.
That's actually
a good point. So if you have a malignant tunnel, you should get yourself checked out.
In the world of Sanctuary, when we say malignant tunnel, we mean, hey, I'm a player and I actually want to get more of these hearts, but it's just a random chance on elites out in the world. Where can I intentionally find more of them? There are these malignant tunnels. So there are actually places across the world where the malignance is manifesting in these new dungeons. So if you specifically want to go find more malignant hearts, you can hunt down these tunnels.
Yep.
You can go in and, hey, there are more malignant there. So there's a higher chance of finding malignant monsters there. And if you want to guarantee it, man, I really need a very specific type of malignant heart. How do I make that even more likely? That's when you take your crafted invoker, you go all the way to the end of a malignant tunnel, and you can use it on a malignant outgrowth. When you use it on that outgrowth, it now spawns that specific type of malignant It's going to have the color associated with it of the heart you're trying to find. You kill that, and you're going to get the specific heart. So there's a little bit more targeted farming you can do as you
Dobra.
go to the end game of.
Dzięki za informację.
Kind of like if go to the C video, it will be able to show you going into an evoker event where you can go in and sort of, which I've heard called the turkey baster from hell. Basically, is what an evoker looks like.
It does kind of, yes. I don't. That wasn't the art direction on it, but yeah, that's where we ended up.
So yeah, at the end of these Malignant tunnels, you're going to find that there are these masses of malignants that you're going to be able to go and interact with, and each of the
That's the
tunnels
one we
has
wanna watch.
a few different ones that can potentially spawn different colors of malignant outgrowth that can spawn from those. So it gives you those opportunities to go and like really target farm, as Tim's pointed out, like certain kinds of malignant hearts as the player's progressing through the experience. Yeah.
So when we show like we were just showing it, you went.
Technical.
Yeah, show the one you were just showing because that was
Okay.
the invoker event. So basically, there's a growth. You get to the end of the tunnel. There's you're able to basically, essentially, you're requesting a monster of a particular color. Yes, you're saying like I want a blue heart, a chance to get a blue heart by trying to defeat the blue monster. Yes,
That's right. And some of these, are, like particularly later on in the experience, like the most powerful hearts you can get are going to be delivered from things like these invoker encounters that we can go and interact with. So yeah, something we're very excited about.
So basically, they use an invoker on the one of the pods.
That's right. Yeah, the outgrowths from this malignant mass.
Which then creates a blue monster for you to fight. You have to take that down, which will then. So does this one go through the same mechanic where I have to kill it, try to capture heart to kill the harder thing?
Yeah, when this thing pops up, after you kill this one, you don't actually have to capture it. You're fighting the powerful version of it like immediately.
That's what I was asking. Yeah, so you don't have to do the 1-2.
That's right.
Got it. So that's nice. So it's kind of a little like the sigil crafting, where you basically, I've got a bunch of stuff I'm not using right now. I can craft it down so that I can focus what malignant hearts I want. Because maybe my build, I know I want a brutal heart, but I haven't running into any blue malignants out there in the world. So now I can go into a malignant tunnel, fight my way to the end, have an opportunity to use the invoker to create a blue malignant to go after its heart. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Roger's called it out.
And I know.
That's all I'm here to do is summarize.
That's good.
He's like, I will take everything you said, summarize it into 2 sentences. And I know, like, obviously with the story and so forth, there are like new boss and so forth associated
there's new,
with
but
it.
we're not really talking about the boss.
We're not redacted, but yes.
It's worth calling out,
There's new boss monster for players to fight over the course of the season. There are new legendary items for players to collect this season.
Correct.
There's our legendary powers, I should say, for players to collect. There's new unique items for players to collect.
Now those new unique legendaries and the unique uniques. Thanks for that. Those are not just in the seasonal realm, though, right? Are those things that are also showing up in the eternal?
That's right. Those will also show up in the eternal realm. So
exactly.
yeah, if you're a player who's like really trying to continue to progress your character in the eternal realm, there's now a few new items for you to go try to hunt for and use to kind of augment and change your build.
This is the moment where I can do the producer thing.
Yeah.
So you probably saw before on the screen when we looked at the cinematic, it was awesome. And we said July 20th. Oh my God, there it is, the day it's coming out. We are actually putting out the patch a little bit earlier. So just for awareness, so everyone knows, you're going to see your game patching on July 18th. That is all of the stuff coming to you that is going to turn on July 20th.
Balance changes, the new items.
Yeah. So July 18th is actually anything that shows up on the Eternal Realm is there right away. If you just want to continue playing the game as normal on your existing characters or a new Eternal character if you want, July 18th, the new legendaries and uniques that they were just talking about will be available to you on the Eternal Realm, as well as any other improvements, balance changes, rewards changes that we've made. Those will be there right away on July 18th. July 20th, the season turns on. You can now create seasonal characters.
I think it's like going back to managing expectations. I think one of the things we've been trying to be really clear about with seasons is that it is not a continuation of the main campaign storyline. Like we've been trying to use phrases like it's a new quest line. Working with Corman to solve the malignant is a big, is obviously the journey you're on, but it's not about the Anarias Lilith journey.
No i fajnie, no to przynajmniej tą postać będzie można jeszcze, tą, którą się gramy, oprócz postaci sezonowej, to będzie można jeszcze swoją tam postać, żeby przepakować bardziej.
Within the season the malignant, which is great because it just gives us it affords us a lot of opportunities to tell an exciting story and to create like these new big features that kind of go along with that and support it.
So as I'm playing through that now, it would be amazing if there was some way to sort of track my accomplishments through the season. I don't know, maybe some sort of journey, perhaps,
you
would
want
be
to track
really.
you want to track your seasonal journey through some kind of feature.
Is that, I don't know if I could tee that up any higher for you. We went from golf to
Yeah, went from golf to t-ball really fast. Yeah, no, absolutely. So this is obviously with season 1 where we're going to bring out the season journey feature, which I know we've talked a little bit about on stream before, but I guess it's worth maybe calling out and maybe a little bit more clarity.
Hey, look, it's this, but without redacted all over it now.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is
no top secret.
Yeah. So this is the battle pass introducing as part of season 1, and then going into here you'll see the season journey, and again, so the season journey is separated into 7 chapters. And like these major chapters, and each of those chapters has a number of objectives inside each of them in order to allow you to progress that chapter.
And you don't have to do all of them?
You don't have to do all of them. You have to do a subset of them in order to advance to the next chapter. So I think it's really cool. So like objective to objective, you're going to be earning favor drops, which can be used to fuel your battle pass, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. Yeah. But you're also, for your chapter completion moments, you're getting big drops of that favor that's going to be used like an experience point value for your battle pass. But you're also going to be getting some like item rewards, and importantly, you're going to be unlocking new legendary aspects, ones that you can't normally get through the Codex of Power, through like dungeon completion, and also many of our new legendary aspects we're adding in the season. If you're playing in the seasonal realm, you can collect that for your Codex of Power by going to the season journey. So it's a great way for you to introduce yourself to some of these new things as you're kind of playing through.
Yeah, I love this. Like, one of the things that's hard about, for people who know Diablo 3 and its sort of journey.
Hold on, wait. Do you love this?
I love this.
Oh, that actually feels really good to hear.
I love this. The notion around, like, I like the fact that the subset aspect of it, because I know there are certain things. I'll pick a stupid example. It's like, maybe I hate sellers for some reason. I'm a seller hater. And so I never want to complete a seller. Then the fact that I can advance chapter 1 to go to chapter 2 without ever doing what lurks below, I think that's great, because that's like, I find you get into situations. I have other games where they're like, you must do this thing that you really don't want to do in order to progress. And the fact that I don't have to do that here, that I can choose a subset of things to continue my progress, I think is really smart.
Yeah, I think it's really good to hear. It's one of the things we really want to do is make sure that like the base example of this is like, we really like letting players use our fields of hatred as opportunities to kind of like progress their characters inside of the season, but we don't, and we want to include that
which
in
is
the season
PvP
journey,
fields,
which is the PvP content in the game. But we don't want to make that like a requirement that you must go do this content in order to progress your season journey. We want to give players the option to do this if they choose.
One thing I do want to call out here as well with the season journey, and I think you're going to call it out in some other places, is that it can be confusing to players initially that you go to this battle pass screen, you click on the season journey button. Do I have to buy the battle pass to get this? No. Everyone has access to the season journey. This is a base feature that everybody is engaging with. Actually, everybody has access to the battle pass too. You're engaging with, even if you never pay a cent, you are engaging with the battle pass. You're getting free stuff.
In the seasonal realm.
In the seasonal realm. Yes. Rod has always reminded me to say, like, in the seasonal realm, this stuff exists. There is no season journey if you're not in the season. That's very important. It only exists there. There's no battle pass if you're not in the season.
Right.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So yeah, that's essentially the way the season journey works. Those final objectives, those final chapters are really, really tough to complete. You can get some like special like cosmetics, like special like title and things at the towards the end of that path. So we're excited to see players like engage with it and for us to continue to support it in future seasons.
And so we saw that the season journey
Czyli rozumiem, że
grants you a lot of favor.
w takim układzie co? Trzeba będzie tworzyć nową postać
That's right. Anything
sezonową.
like killing monsters, completing like whispers and dungeons and things, like all of these things will be earning you favor as you kind of play through the season.
Right.
So anything that's getting you experience points is your chance to give you that favor as well.
So if you have never played the campaign yet, like you're about to buy the game for the first time with the season, for example.
Right.
I'll be like, okay, I'm going to roll a seasonal character. I'm going to play the campaign. The fact that while I'm playing the campaign, I'm killing stuff and I'm still earning.
Nigdy nie grałem sezonu Diablo, więc nie wiem.
I just won't run into I won't run into.
Diablo nigdy nie grałem na dłużej niż przejście fabuły. Wiesz o co chodzi.
But you will, as you play, if you make a new character, to your point, Rod, on the seasonal realm, and you're playing through the campaign, you will be earning favor as you're killing monsters and doing things during the campaign. But a lot of those, and you can also progress your season journey, but some of those objectives might require you to go and interact with season features that aren't available until after you finish the events of the Diablo 4 main campaign.
And that's probably one of the big things to be clear about. I know we're going to talk about the transition later, but in terms of getting access to the mechanic, the idea of talking to Corman, capturing malignant hearts, having rings with colored socket or jewelry with colored sockets, that stuff all takes place post-campaign.
That's
And
correct.
so if you haven't beat the campaign yet, you're not going to run into these seasonal mechanics.
Yeah, you won't fight malignant creatures, for example, while you're going through the campaign
Correct,
on the
yeah.
seasonal realm, but you will shortly thereafter. So one of the things you can do, and I know we're going to talk about this, and we keep saying we're going to talk about this, and then we talk about it anyway. But like, so I would say, like, one of the things you can do to get ready for the season is to make sure you finish your campaign playthrough. Diablo 4, jump in. You can choose to skip campaign when you make your new seasonal character, and dive right into the seasonal story and content immediately.
And that's forevermore. That's one thing we tried to say is that once you complete the campaign on one character on your account,
Jak to możesz pominąć kampanię
for any
tworząc nową
character you create
postać?
moving forward, you can skip campaign and start off in Kyovashad level 1 off. Well, and
Not always Kyovashad, but yes.
Is that the
Foreshadowing.
only thing that we can be doing to prepare
Well,
for
we should
season
get to
one?
we should get to the battle pass. So the favor, so you have favor flowing because you're playing the game.
You're playing the game because you're doing your season journey objectives. You're getting even
And
more.
I was going to say you're getting more, and the favor is really flowing because I'm completing the season journey objectives. And so that favor is feeding into your progress on the battle pass, whether you've chosen to just have the free battle pass or whether you've chosen to upgrade it to a premium battle pass. Correct?
That's absolutely correct.
So can we go back to the screen because I think it's one of the things. What we highlight here is part of the thing is kind of we use the term.
Aha, czyli za darmo mamy 3 przedmioty, a reszta jest za paywallem, tak?
And by completing the battle pass.
O ja
the
pierdzielę.
armor that the characters are wearing. And so, did you want to talk a little
Nie
bit
lubię
about
tego.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that's really
Nie
cool
lubię
about
tej
a lot of items in the
praktyki.
battle pass. There are these really exciting like armors to chase for the characters. There are like fun emotes to go chase for different classes, and we have even things like the like what we're showing off here, like the Artisan's tunic. We have some things that are like these. And this is actually one of our free cosmetics. Actually, is this the things are like a little bit lower fantasy that we can use to kind of like role play different kind of themes out for your characters, just give you more options. And we have like our bigger stuff like this. Like this is like the Awoken Cold Iron stuff is like some of like the like real chase armor
No,
cosmetics.
rozumiem.
At the
No.
end of the battle pass.
It's one of the things that, like, if you notice the
Tak,
either
tak,
the role-playing
tak,
armor,
czaję.
the artisan
Czaję.
tunic, or the helmet, is that one of the big things about the battle pass is that unlike the shop, the battle pass, all of the cosmetics are class agnostic. So why we have a preview for all 5 classes, so you can see what it looks like on a barbarian, what it looks like on a druid, what it looks like on a necromancer, and those sorts of things. And that's one of the nice things about the battle pass is everything you're earning on the battle pass, class agnostic.
Yeah, for those transmogs.
The exception is the transmog weapons. There are transmog weapons on there that are class specific, just because classes
Can
equip
only use
certain
specific.
weapons.
Yeah.
So if your class can equip that weapon, then you have access to it. Just to reinforce, I think it was already expressed, but there are lots of free things on the battle pass. If you pay to upgrade it to the premium battle pass, what you're gaining access to are a bunch of additional cosmetic things.
Yeah.
So the only thing you're getting access to by paying is that additional cosmetic unlock. So there's really cool stuff, some on the early end, and then especially on the tail end of it, that's what you're buying into. But the free version.
Keep going. I'm getting ready to transition.
Okay. The free version
I know where I want to go after you.
still has some very cool unlocks. And anything related to, well, you wanted to talk more about blessings, right?
Well, that's what they're saying with the free side. Like, so we were saying there's 27 free tiers in the battle pass, and part of those 27 free tiers are smoldering ashes that you can get based on the
Czyli generalnie wszystko to działa tak samo jak, nie wiem, jak w czołgach, w World of Tanks i tak dalej, nie?
So these smoldering
Dokładnie
ashes
w
the player
taki
will
sam
collect in the
sposób
battle
wszystko
pass
działa.
are, as you called out, like they're on the free track of the battle pass. You need to be you have a character of a certain level in order to be able to actually use them. So they're kind of like they're rate limited that way. We'll take those and you'll be able to use those and apply them to the seasonal blessings system.
Right.
And here, okay, we can actually finally reveal all of these. So here are the places where, as the player's collecting these ashes, they can invest them here to give all of their characters.
Okej, dobre. To jest ciekawe.
This advantage will carry through. So whether that is like bonus to like XP earned from monster kills, like we called out here, or things like boosting the duration of all elixirs that you're using over the course of the season.
Right, and you can looks like I'm assuming that I don't know if it's linear or not, but if I would assume it was linear, I can do it 4 times at 15%, so like 60% duration on elixirs, in terms of that particular, the earn or prolonging.
That's right. Yeah, we want to make this just be an extra little fun little thing for players to chase as they're going through the season to kind of, help them like boost their characters up a little bit more quickly as they kind of get deeper and deeper into progression of the season, and give them a few different advantages to play with while they're playing through.
So if I were to max out with my smoldering ashes, there like earn or prolonging is where I want to invest my smoldering ashes. I can basically take my 30-minute elixir and make it almost a 50-minute
Yeah,
elixir. So getting that 5% XP boost. Maybe for me, it's the extra 200 thorns and the 200 armor. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, and give you boosts to like get more opportunities to earn like the or better malignant heart drops that can occur for you as you're playing.
And these are available to everyone because
Yes.
who's in the seasonal realm because it's part of the free track.
Yes.
And they are limited based on. They're also limited based on level of the player, so that even if someone were to use tier skips, even though they might get to the tier that says free Smoldering Ashes,
it might require.
it doesn't actually unlock until you get to the level requirement.
Yeah, for like for example, like the first ash that you unlock in the battle pass is I think it's tier 8 maybe.
Tier 8,
Yeah, and it has a level 40 character requirement.
Okay.
For example, just to make it really really clear, like you will be able to use this in time, but immediately like you need to continue to progress your character and like continue to level up, and then you'll be able to use that accordingly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can kind of do my little summary thing. So basically, the way what we said, so we have a seasonal theme of the malignant, which has the mechanic of capturing malignant hearts and putting it into jewelry. We use that to complete our season's journey. Our season journey is rewarding us favor. Our favor we're then putting into the battle pass to get really cool cosmetics and transmogs, but also based on our level and our tier in the battle pass, we'll get Smoldering Ashes. We can use those Smoldering Ashes to apply a Season's Blessing, which allows us to use those urns and get sort of perks for during just this season that we've unlocked.
That's correct.
So the free person's experience, if you never want to pay a cent, you are still getting a lot of power out of the season journey and the free aspect, the free unlocks on the battle pass. So this is kind of an increase in power for everybody. And then if you want to spend money, just reinforcing that, that's unlocking more cosmetics.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like they're amazing cosmetics. I am planning to pay to unlock them myself. But there's no power that comes from them. They are transmogs. They are not actual items. It's just a transmog you can place on your armor to look cool. They don't actually cause things to light on fire.
Yeah, it's just reinforcing what we had talked about before, like even before launch and so forth, is that the battle pass itself, anything that if you do pay for a battle pass, all the paid items are going to be cosmetics, and for you, it's no pay for power.
And if you bought the deluxe or the ultimate edition, this you already will have an ability to make that a premium battle pass. It still doesn't. So that's great for them. So then let's talk a little bit about the transitional side of it in terms of how I go into this or what happens. So there's a couple of different things. There's like, one is like there's a need. So there's a question. I guess we should talk about renown. Like one of the big things that we hear the most about is, hey, I spent a lot of time, and I know I did too. I completed all my renown objectives. I've got full everything. And now I hear, oh, I have to reroll my character in season. Do I have to go find all the altars of Lilith? Do I have to go all clear the fog of war again?
Yeah, so I know we've talked about this in stream before, but it definitely bears repeating. So like when season 1 goes live, players are going to be able to go basically carry over like all of the fog of war that they've cleared. So everything, all the world they've explored on their characters in each of the zones, like in the Fractured Peaks and Scotsland and such, all of that's going to carry over, as well as all of the renown that you have earned from all of that, all of the exploration.
So can we bring up the screen? So basically where we see areas discovered.
Yeah.
Let's say I've actually, okay, we'll say this is this person.
Yeah.
So right now they've got 30 areas discovered, which is worth 150 renown.
Right.
So what's going to happen is in the season, I'm going to have 30 areas clear inside of Kyrgyzstan, and I will have 150 renown already in the bank. And it will have unlocked whatever 150 renown will have unlocked.
Absolutely right. Yep, absolutely right. So you're going to have that, and you're also going to have already collected all of your altars of Lilith that you've got from your partner account as well.
The same thing here. So I will have 12 will be appearing on my map immediately, and I will have 120 renown in the bank with my other 100. So I'll have 270 renown already earned, waiting for me to claim when I fire up the season.
That's absolutely correct. So these are the advantages you get to start with, and like if you look at like all of the renown you can collect from discovering all of the areas and from getting all of your altars of Lilith, it's going to get you in each of the zones, basically through the first 2 tiers, a little bit of the way through the 3rd tier for each of the zones for renown. So you get to start with, like if you start at level 1 on day 1 of the new season with a brand new character, you'll start, and you've done all of this with your previous characters and previous playthroughs. You'll have 5 skill points to play with, and then 5 extra potion charges. So you'll be at sitting at 9 potion charges.
At level 1, you'll have 5 skill points and 9 potions ready to go.
Absolutely. You just claim those things down. You're good to go for the season.
And your map reveal.
And your map reveal. So that goes back to what Tim was teeing up earlier. When we think about, hey, I'm excited about the season. I want to prepare for it. I've got, what is it? It's the 6th today?
Today's the 6th.
Yes. So I have 14 days.
14
I
days.
have 2 weeks. what should I be doing in these next 2 weeks? And so one was, I better get the campaign done because I really want to
complete the campaign.
Fight the malignant. But now, like, if you had places to go to, like, dig deep on clearing the fog and dig deep on finding the altars, because those are going to carry into this season.
Yeah, all that stuff will carry over with you.
O,
Okay, so then,
Fajnie.
Tim,
No i
how
o
do
to
I
chodzi.
think about, I've got 5, 6 alts, my characters right now in the Eternal Realm. We're talking about carrying over progress based on your, how do I ensure that the progress, like the most progress character, it actually impacts my seasonal character? Like,
Yeah, Tim, tell us.
Yeah, it's a great question. For various technical implementation reasons, we do actually need you to log in on existing characters to kind of self-migrate some of your data with this. So this is something that we implemented based on player feedback that we got. So we put it in as quickly as we could. It is in for Season 1, but what we need you to do, once Season 1 comes out, actually once the patch comes out, you don't even have to wait until July 20th. You can do this on July 18th, which is when the patch goes live. You should log in with characters that have the most progress. If you have a single character you played, or if you have one character that, hey, on this one character I unlocked all the altars and cleared all the fog of war, awesome. You just have to log in with that person. When you log in with that character, all of that progress is going to be propagated across your entire account. It'll be saved as, hey, this is just unlocked for your whole account now. At that point, any character you log on, either one of your existing alts or any new character you make in seasons will now have all of that progress. So you have to do it once, but after you've done that, it is now saved to your account. And just to reinforce, the experience you're going to have if you have unlocked all of these things, it takes a little bit of work, but if you've unlocked all of that, when you start that new seasonal character, wow, is that a lot of power. You are going to level pretty fast, because extra 5 skill points, extra 5 potions, you are ridiculously overpowered when you first start playing. Like, that is a lot of extra
It
power.
will accelerate you a little bit as you start.
And because that is a big caveat, like we will be reminding everyone. I'm going to be like literally screaming it from the rooftops. I know we will be posting it in our patch notes on that come out for the patch on the 18th, just to remind people that yes, log into your characters beforehand. Even if you log in, like if you jump into the season later on, you can log into those characters with the most amount of progress.
Well,
and so forth.
that's the two things we should, because there'll probably be questions. But one is, I don't do that for whatever. I go on vacation. I'm not playing. I come back. The season started. I can still log in my Eternal Realm character and have all that progress brought to the season. Yes.
Yes.
Even after the season started. So it's not like, oh, you only have 18 to 20 to get it those 2 days.
It's there forever. Functionally, from this point forward, anytime you ever log in on a character, it will just check like, hey, does this character have any progress that's not already credited on your account? Cool, I'm now crediting it to your account.
Right. And so and that's for the seasonal. So if I think about the Eternal Realm, like for example, my Necromancer has everything. I've got the full bar on renown on all 5. Not humble bragging. It's a point of fact.
Humble bragging.
Tak,
So
super.
for the next 5 minutes, we're going to talk about
So
this.
let's talk about how good my Necromancer is. No, but all I'm saying is I have a Sork that has not had the same level of progress in the world. So after the 18th, when I log in my Necro and all that progress gets put to my account, when I go to log in my Sork next, even on the Eternal Realm, my Sork will now have all the progress that my Necro
Correct.
has.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And let's say, like, just to dive really deep into this. So let's say that you've got,
I know,
you've got 2 different
we
characters.
should do some sort of
You've
dev
got-
stream where we can talk and go deep.
That's true, actually, yeah. So let's say you've got like 2 characters you play. Like one has done everything in the Fractured Peaks, has uncovered everything in the Fractured Peaks, and has uncovered like all the altars of both. You get another character who's gotten everything in Scott's Glen, who's unlocked like all the Fog of War, has found all the altars of Lilith. If I log in on my Fractured Peaks character, and just by doing that, all of that credit will now be transferred to my Scott's Glen character. When I log into my Scott's Glen character, all of that credit will be applied to my Fractured Peaks characters. At that point, all of the credit of the progress I made on either of those characters has been propagated to the entirety of my account.
Right. So it becomes an and.
It's not just like it's and. It's not like the one account that has the most stuff, and then I want to log into that one. No, you want to log into every account that might have like tons of progress if they've made in different directions. Right.
And I think to just again, hey, let's talk about managing expectations. Some of you might be saying like, wow, that sounds a little clunky. And I think the point that Tim was trying to make was, hey, prior to season 1, we had actually talked about that you wouldn't have any renown progress carryover. You would have to go find the altars of Lilith. You would have to go clear the Fog of War. Like the original plan when launching the game, or prior to launching the game, the original plan that there was no transition of state from Eternal Realm to Seasonal Realm as part of this. And so hearing the player feedback as we talked about seasons and hearing the response that we got about what, I have to find all the altars again? What, I have to clear the map again? And wanting to make sure that we were listening to the players, we put in a system that allowed us to do that, but is not the most smoothest, most sophisticated, because we were doing it under very tight time constraints as quickly as possible.
Hey, did you want it done? Did you want it done? The answer is yes.
I'm just saying, like, that wasn't the design from the start was not to do this, log in a character on the 18th and make it pass.
Yeah,
That's what we had to do to make it happen for season 1.
And this was based off of, obviously player feedback that we got since launch. So this is us implementing it quickly to address, the feedback that you guys have been giving. And then on top of that, I like a huge shout out to our engineers for getting this all implemented before we actually jump into the season.
Much like the Nightmare Dungeon teleport,
Exactly.
like miracles can happen and very quickly. So
a lot of these actually end up with us going to an engineer and asking how long it would take to do it, and the first answer is to do it right.
First answer is they cry.
Yeah. And then there's okay, well, what about to make it work right now? And always, if you told me you wanted to do this X months ago, I could have done it way easier because we implemented it completely differently. So yeah, we make it work, but sometimes the fact that you have to log in to get the progress propagated, we would have made it a smoother version if we knew months ago.
All right, look, all right, like zoom in on me. Zoom in on me.
Come closer.
Let's do that. Okay, it's not going to happen. There it is. Okay, yeah, all right. It's a live game. We know we need to it's a live game. We know we are looking at trying to make improvements based on the feedback that we're getting from players. We're playing the game ourselves, and we're kind of seeing how everything is really feeling as it's all coming together with a giant audience of players playing and enjoying the game. We want to make sure that we are making the right changes as quickly as we can for the community. Some of those things are a lot harder than others. But like all the feedback, like Adam, you called out some things really early on at the program, like, we're hearing feedback about, this and this, and like, inventory space. We talked about gems last time and things we want to do there. We're trying to move very quickly in a lot of these things. Some of them are a lot more challenging technically to do than others, but we are rapidly moving on as many changes as we can because we are fervently trying to make the very best version of Diablo 4 possible in the fastest time frame that we can to deliver to the player base, because we're players too. We also want the same things. So just know that we're working hard. We care deeply. We love our engineers and our designers and our producers and the staff been helping with like all of like the hotfix and everything else. We are trying to make sure that we are delivering a really, really high quality experience to players on a regular basis. So just stick with us. Keep giving us that feedback. We're going to keep making adjustments as we go between seasons and other updates.
I can attest that whenever Joe would like to make a change based on feedback he's seen from reading it wherever he reads it, the first version is always, can we do this immediately? That is always the first request. Never like, hey, let's get this in eventually. When it makes sense and when it's comfortable. No, it's always, could we do this right now? Is it possible for us to do this right now?
Well,
I want to move the Overton window where I just expect everything to be done in 6 seconds.
But this is the thing about like why about doing it safely. Like I think one of the sort of the junior mistakes some people can make is this idea of like time is only what it takes to implement, and it's not. It's time is also what it takes to test and make sure that it's robust and stable. And so that's one of the things that like when you look at we have a follow the sun QA organization around the world, and that's what allows us to do, I don't know, we're what to 15, 16 hot fixes or more now.
Yeah.
And our big client patches is that ability of not only can we get we have some heroic engineers who can turn stuff around very quickly, but we also have some heroic QA teams around the world who are helping us make sure that when we make these changes, we're doing it in a safe way. So, but I appreciate your patience on that. And so this is exciting. Season 1, Season of the Malignant.
Yes. It's finally here.
Yes.
I'm waiting to reveal this for a long
2 weeks?
time.
In 2 weeks. And again, like Tim
It's
had
not
mentioned.
technically for you all, but soon, very soon.
As Tim had mentioned, we will have a patch on the 18th for Diablo 4 that will contain all the changes that will be coming in with Season 1.
Yep.
If Tiffany Watt were here, who was on our campfire chat before, she categorized our 103 patch as chonky.
Right.
I will categorize in Tiffany Watt's words as super chonky for Season 1. It actually is our largest, or chonkster, as Tim called it. I think we were chonkers. So we're going to pull up the Wikipedia entry and actually go through it, the history of chonkers. But yeah, it is very big. So we will have notes up for that. And again, players can prepare for Season 1 by completing the campaign for sure.
Do the campaign,
and making
clear
sure,
the fog of war.
clear fog of war, discover the map, and of course, get all your altars. So lots to come for Diablo 4. And then again, we also have just more improvements that will be in that patch. What our balance changes to bug fixes to you name it. I can go on. There's even some reward changes coming for some Nightmare and Helltide related activities as well, some endgame activities, because I've been hearing some feedback regarding like, hey, it would be great if we can get like maybe better rewards with some of these activities, and so I know some of those changes are coming in that actual update as well. But I know we want to do Q&A.
We do.
Yeah.
And this is a live stream, by the way.
Yeah.
So I know we get sometimes people are like, I don't know if this is live. No, this is totally live. So we're actually going to be bringing in, we're actually going to kick off Rod because we're done with him. No, I'm just kidding. Rod is actually just
I'm actually going to go and annoy you from the side.
I know. It's the worst. Rod's going to jump over here. We're actually going to bring back in Chris and Ryan from the Immortal team. Who will be jumping in here.
I think you're supposed to open that chair. I didn't do my job. I didn't do my job.
Rod had one job and failed to do it.
I failed to open the chair.
So we're going to bring these guys in. I know we have questions queued up from different people in Twitch chat. So if you guys have questions, of course, feel free to drop in questions and
Chris is
everything.
not quite in. You need to switch clearly.
Oh, I need to scooch too
Scooch a
because
little
I think
bit
I'm,
over.
I'm
Yeah, I think
like,
we can scooch a little bit more.
Live television.
we're scooching live.
And we're scooching, live scooching, ladies and
So
gentlemen.
here's the problem. We also the
Like all
production
kinds of
team hates me.
cables beneath us and
I want to give a shout out to our production group behind here because I literally go like, oh, we're only gonna have like 2 people, and then we continue to add people, and then Rod wanted to be in it yesterday. So now suddenly we're up to like 20 people, and this room can't hold this many people. So I apologize.
you're
They
not
are
okay.
angels, and they deal with me. But we do have some questions, and I will be kind of going back and forth in between both of them. But we do. Oh, perfect. We do have some questions up here. Someone's also calling me, which is awful at this time. Quick question. Any updates around, this is for D4 specifically, any updates around respecting characters?
Yeah, so right now I think that there's a few different concerns we're hearing from the community. There's the general cost of respecting characters, and then there is at various stages of the game. And then there is the actual experience of respecting a character, particularly when you're deeper into the Paragon system. Like that takes a lot of effort. So we have longer-term plans on the user experience side, like on the menu side. Things we want to do to improve the flow of allowing players to respect their characters. These are things we're actively investigating. We have designs for things we're looking to add into seasons in the future. We don't have a date we're committing to today for that. And in terms of the actual price of that, we're evaluating things on like the gold economy, and we're taking a look at like what players are doing on a regular basis. We're not making any fundamental structural changes to today at this time, but we are, because we're satisfied with where things feel like in the 150. One thing we will be adding though is as part of seasons, there's now a new reward that you can collect as you're going through the season journey at the end of each season, called the Scroll of Amnesia. Which, once you collect a Scroll of Amnesia, you can use that one time to basically reset the entirety of a character all in one go for no gold cost at all. So these are going to be like pretty fun things to bring back with you to the Eternal Realm if you want to use for future playthroughs or for that character or another character. So we want to make sure that we're like slowly adding a few of these as the player's progressing through the experience, kind of make that a little bit easier for players to go through.
And that Scroll of Amnesia is everything. It's all your skills,
It's all
all
your
your
skills, all your
Paragon,
Paragons,
everything
yeah.
goes to 0.
Yeah.
Awesome. For Immortal, we have a question from, I'm reading everyone's names, 8 Miles West. How much will the Blood Knight cost? I know we covered this early on, but if you guys want to reiterate.
The Blood Knight will cost nothing. The Blood Knight is free.
It's free. So if you're a new Immortal player, or you're a existing Immortal player, you can literally jump in, start playing the Blood Knight on day 1, which is on July 13th. So, and of course, you can play through the campaign, and we had mentioned that has essentially custom VO and everything associated with it.
That's right.
For D4, I should be more prepared with these.
That's usually
That's
a
usually-
safe statement all the time. You should be more
We have
prepared.
Rod judging me off screen right here, and I'm just like, awesome.
Perfect.
Little side story real quick. So we have a thing in design called design armor, where like as you're about to like talk about an idea with someone, you're like, this might be a really bad idea, but and that's you putting up your shield saying, this is my design armor. Saying, I know that this might be really, really bad, but we're talking about it anyway. So yes, I should probably be more prepared, but here we go. That's your design armor.
Question from Fig Larna.
You committed to saying the names.
I know I did.
We don't want anyone to suggest that these are not gold questions.
Yeah, from Fig Larna. Will seasonal mechanics be added to the Eternal Realm after the season ends? I think that's something we didn't actually clarify really well.
That is a great question that actually gets asked internally as well a lot. Like, hey, this is awesome. Are we going to keep it around forever?
Siema Winterku. Witam. Hejka.
No. Like, initially, the version of the malignant mechanics that you're seeing are not planned to show up in the Eternal Realm. However, we are reserving the right as developers that if we see something cool and we think, wow, this is just fantastic, this should just be part of the game, that we will just make it part of the game. So it is absolutely an option. Some mechanics you might see in future seasons might be that way right away. We might be planning that, hey, this will show up in Eternal Realm right away. Others will evaluate them as we play them and then see if this is working really well. This is something that we want to integrate with the Eternal version of the game.
Yeah, I want to stay on this just 1 second longer. That's not to suggest that we're not going to be, as part of the seasons, intentionally using those update opportunities to create content for the base game, like stuff that will persist beyond the end of the season. But we really do want to hone in on the idea that we're like, Malignant Hearts are very powerful, as we talked about before. They're really, really cool. They're very exciting. We can't add something exciting like that every season if it's expected to all last, because the game's going to be a complete mess.
Right.
So we're not going to do that. What we would end up needing to do is all of those things would be extremely incremental in terms of what they offered to the players over the course of time. And it would make the game extraordinarily dense in terms of what the players expected to do on a regular basis.
And to understand.
We know that there's opportunities to extend things like add more endgame features. We know that there's more content that we want to add to the game in general that like everybody's going to need forever.
Ale gość zapierdziela, ale szybko gada, ja
But
pierdzielę.
things like Malignant Hearts, we don't want to have something of that size in Season 1, then add something of similar size in Season 2, and then Season 3 and Season 4, because the game's going to get extremely dense and difficult for players to really navigate. We want to be able to like take these things away, introduce new ideas, but having known what worked really, really well with Malignant Hearts and what stuff we could maybe have improved upon, we get to take all those ideas forward.
It's also part of the cool factor of the season is that when you're going in, these Malignant Hearts, it's there for the season. So even, let's take a player that, let's say, doesn't like to play alts except of the same class. I just love playing Barbarian. And, you know, I have 3 different Barbarians already on Eternal because it's the perfect
rogue
class.
player and all you play is rogues and all you do is build rogues.
There might be a lot of those too. But let's say a Barbarian, that's my hypothetical, I'm sticking with it. So I'm a Barbarian lover and I've made all these Barbarians. Season 1 is still an exciting time to make a new Barbarian because we have all of these new Malignant powers that allow you to make radically new builds that are completely different from Barbarians you played in the past. Your endgame is going to be very different. So that excitement goes away if we just say like, oh, all of these powers just exist in the game forever. The whole idea is that no, every season is a fresh new experience that gives you builds that did not exist previously. So the idea is some of that stuff is always designed to go away.
Yeah.
So Joe, I mean, one of the things.
This is Rod off camera speaking.
Rod off camera. Hey, voice
right.
guy.
Joe,
Yes.
maybe speak to the fact that everybody
Everybody starts at the same place of the season is one of the benefits, so that people aren't like a year behind when they go to play season 4.
Yeah, that's an important part of this as well. One of the reasons we really like the idea of letting players start back fresh and have like an economy reset, players really jumping back in the experience at level 1 with characters, is it allows us to focus on making sure the entirety of that journey is really engaging and exciting for players to go through. And we want to make sure, like by the end of the first session, for example, like you're getting exposed to like the new features and content available that we're introducing in that season. That everything feels like it's balanced in such a way that players can really enjoy the new things that we're adding in the way that they're kind of intelligently mixed with the rest of the features in the game itself. So that we think that experience is part of what makes a Diablo game anyways, like making a new character, getting those item drops, like building up towards the end. With regards to like the way that we decided to conduct our efforts in seasons for Diablo 4, we think this is a really, really like the prime example of the way that we can make this work.
But I wanted you to hit on the point, the fact that if somebody buys the game.
Yeah. They're not like fundamentally behind.
Yeah, if somebody,
before.
look, I'm gonna mess with the camera people. Can you?
Yeah.
You can't even do it, can you? You can't even get there. All we can do is I can just have my talking stuff. Oh, hey, what's going on? The notion of the thing that we're talking about is that we want, again, the game is a live service. The game's gonna live for years. We want somebody who buys the game a year from now to not feel like they're a year behind when it comes to. So one of the benefits of seasons is, in season 4. On day 1, you and I are both level 1. I bought it that day. You have owned the game for a year. We're in the same place. We can play together and have fun together. And so as opposed to everybody from this moment on is now falling behind, seasons allows us to have that fresh start for everybody, right?
Yeah, that's actually, I could have put it better myself. That serves as a really, really good opportunity for us to make sure that players have a starting point together when you want to come in a little bit later into the game experience. If you've taken a season or 2 off because something else came out, we want to make sure that it feels like, the most important thing for us in seasons, like kind of going off script in a different way now, is that like when you're playing seasons and you're playing Diablo 4, you're having a great time. And when you've reached all the goals and done the things that you think are really, really important, and you want to go like take a break to go play something else for a little while, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. We do the same thing.
You don't fall behind.
But
yeah.
when a season rolls and there's new things for you to come check out, that's a great time to come back. Particularly if you had a good time playing before. That's exactly when you should come back and check out Diablo 4 fresh.
Okay, I'm out. Sorry.
I'll be honest. When the next WoW expansion comes out, there's a non-zero chance that I'm going to play WoW for a while. But it's great to know there's a point that I can come back to Diablo 4 and everybody's on an even footing. Yeah.
Question here from Jeffrey Allen, and didn't specify the D4 or DI, so I'm actually going to ask both because I think this is relevant to both. Also,
Why do you have a new mic?
I actually don't know. But yeah, 2 mics, guys. I'm very
I'm too like Adam. I'm too like Adam.
You have me in stereo. Can you say which cosmetics will be transferring between characters? So for instance, like for Diablo Immortal, we'll ask this specifically for Diablo Immortal, and then we'll talk about Diablo 4. But in regards to transferring cosmetics, like if you ended up buying a cosmetic in Diablo Immortal, does that actually also appear on the Blood Knight?
So cosmetics purchased prior to the Blood Knight's release will not be retroactive. However, the sorry, what was the Mother's Lament said?
Hatred's Heritage.
Hatred's Heritage will be available for the Blood Knight.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So going forward, there will be now new cosmetics available for the Blood Knight, just as they are for all the other classes in Immortal. And then I guess for D4, will cosmetics be transferring to seasons, and will they need to be reobtained? I know this was like a question that we get a lot from people in regards to transmogs and
No właśnie, ciekawe.
specific stuff. How does that work between characters from Eternal and Seasonal realms?
Yeah, I believe that's all transferring over with you when you go into the new season. And obviously, every cosmetic set that you're purchasing via the store and via the Battle Pass, that stuff also is going to be carrying over with you.
Yes. So if you ever unlock anything, your whole account has access to it forever. Is the current functionality.
Nice.
I shouldn't say it that way. It sounds like we're going to change it.
Yeah, don't use the word forever, ever.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nightmare. This is from Kincho Kimo. This is Nightmare teleport was great, but why can't we just teleport right into dungeons rather than just to the entrance? So this one I think is interesting because Nightmare, we obviously incorporated the teleport here in 103. It was another thing that we had talked about where it was community feedback that we had gotten, and the team jumped on it really quickly to implement it in a specific way. We have been seeing a lot of feedback in regards to players having to teleport outside of dungeons and kind of go through like a couple load screens. It was a quick, implementation from the team and everything. So I know it's something that we've been hearing from our side, and it's something that we're going to be looking at more here in the future for optimizing and making sure that we can implement maybe in a better way from some of the features that we've been just kind of adding in really quickly. On Immortal, we have. Was there some sort of Castlevania inspiration with the Blood Knight? Looking very, very similar to some popular characters from that franchise. Very pretty vampire-ish people, but not vampires.
I think we discovered Adam's kink, by the way.
We can turn off Rod's mic now, so that's all we need to do. But yeah, was there any inspiration kind of thrown with the Blood Knight?
I think, when you're working with a tropic idea in fantasy like vampires, you take inspiration from all over. The spear thing puts us in mind of Vlad the Impaler. The aesthetic, you've already talked about some potential references, but I think for us is as much like what we take out as what we leave in. We don't want the Blood Knight to feel like a grab bag of all vampiric myths. They are very specifically grotesque, blood, shadow, knightly weapons oriented, and so there were things like turning into mist, like turning into wolves, etc., that we immediately said, hey, these need to be off the table. And so in that regard, I think there's a lot of familiar that we're channeling, but there's also like a very dialed in identity for the class.
Awesome.
Everybody knows that it's necromancers that turn into mist.
Let's see. In regards to Diablo 4, we have, will you guys be nerfing or buffing in the middle of seasons, or will you be making changes after the season starts?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So,
this is from Godic, by the way. So there you go.
Okay,
I just wanted
this
to.
is a real person. So yes, this is a good question. So we made a number of adjustments during the preseason period to make sure that we're bringing some builds back into where we expect them to be functionally and performance-wise. When we go into the seasonal release, we do want to create structured moments in time that we're going to be talking about, I think, more in future streams, when we expect like buffs and nerfs to happen. So we have like a regular set of like patches that are going to be occurring after the season is released, where we have like a better schedule, like in cadence when we're talking about these things. We really want to try to reserve like big nerfs and big buffs for only like extreme outlier cases, and things were like really damaging the end game experience for a number of players. So we want to try to keep that more constrained, and we also want to have just fewer general like off cycle balance updates and things. So we're kind of keeping things more into this weekly cadence like we talked about.
So yeah, things will be pretty stable throughout the course of the season, unless, yeah, if one of the malignant powers, I know I joked about them being broken, but if the zone lights on fire when you use a malignant power, yeah, we're going to patch that. But otherwise, we're going to try and keep things stable.
I know we're running close on time because we were planning on this stream to be 90 minutes, and we're 1 minute away. So I'm going to lightning off a few questions. A big question within chat is obviously about stash space, which is something that we kind of just talked about a little bit earlier.
I'll say real quickly though, like we definitely hear everybody about this. We are talking a lot about what we need to do with this. We've got good plans of things we can do to improve the situation. I know it's frustrating to hear me say like, what you were able to do this, like you could be able to do like nightmare dungeons this quickly, but like the reality is like we are moving really quickly on this, and we're gonna be trying to provide more space in the future, but figuring out how like we're gonna get that accomplished.
Yeah, and also one thing to note is I know we talked about during campfire chats about how gems and so forth were going to be part of the part of materials in the future. So I know when that hits, that will obviously free up a lot of stash space.
No, yeah, like slice away at this problem. And that's like an example of what we're trying to do to start trying to mitigate this a bit.
And then
no i fajnie.
Jim the Q guy
I to jest dobre.
how much time between seasons,
Czyli generalnie będą chcieli, żeby wszystkie kryształy były tak jak część materiału. Czyli nie zajmowały normalnie space tego miejsca w staszu. Okej, no i dobra. No i bardzo
so you
fajnie.
guys will hear like no matter what within or like once we hit that 3-month period you'll start to hear
Dobra.
news about the next
Więc,
season actually hitting
żeby
everything like that. And then this one I guess for Rod, are there any plans on new classes coming to Diablo 4? We've just heard about the Blood Knight, so they're
we have nothing to announce at this time.
Oh wow, that was very strange.
Yeah, Rod sitting off camera can answer that perfectly. So yeah, that I think we're gonna wrap it here for today. Obviously, we talked a lot about all the stuff with Diablo Immortal for the Blood Knight coming out on July 13th. We also have for Diablo 4 Season 1, Season of the Malignant, which is going to be the patch will be on July 18th.
No i trochę się będzie działo.
The actual season starts on July 20th. We do actually have 2 blogs, one on .com that'll be going live either right now or immediately after this live stream that'll have all the details and information that we just talked about here on the stream. Yeah, lots of stuff coming up here for Diablo.
Patch this afternoon.
Oh yes, and there's a patch this afternoon. You'll be seeing.
I
forgot. That's why I have to do it immediately after the stream. I was trying to get out of it, guys. But we will have a patch. We'll have patch notes up on Diablo4.com. We have a patch article that will actually note, and we'll be updating people when that patch does hit. It is a client patch. It will require a download. It will be on all platforms. And yeah, lots of Diablo stuff coming up here in the next few weeks. Really excited. Happy Diablo family. Tons of stuff coming up. I know we will be rating 2 Diablo content creators immediately after this stream. One on Twitch, which is Barricade, and the other one on YouTube, which is Killswitch. So make sure to tune into those guys. And thank you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in to
nie ma jeszcze Hotfixa, nie ma jeszcze tego, nie ma informacji.
And from everyone here on the Diablo team, we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Okej, no to dobra. Generalnie takie szybkie podsumowanie. Trochę się dzieje, bo biorąc pod uwagę, jeżeli chodzi o Diablo 4, to dopiero praktycznie gra wyszła. Mówimy o tygodniach. Nie wiem, gdzieś dochodziły mnie słuchy, że pierwszy sezon ma pojawić się dopiero w połowie sierpnia. Natomiast tutaj jednak się okazuje, że nie. To jeszcze w lipcu nastąpi, 20 i akurat będzie idealnie, dlatego że ludzie zdążą przejść, nawet tak jak tacy ludzie jak ja, prawda? Gdzie trzeba było dokańczać wszystko inne i w tym momencie mamy, no, kończyliśmy w końcu Cyberpunk, jakby na to nie patrzeć, więc czasie, no nie, i tego, i kontrabandę, no i udało się akurat siąść teraz do Diablo 4 i mamy jeszcze trochę czasu, żeby się troszeczkę pobawić, nie musimy akurat zaczynać sezonu, nie wiem jak to nam wyjdzie dalej sezonowo, natomiast na pewno jest dużo rzeczy, które będzie można robić w Diablo 4 w podstawce, więc no na pewno tak szybko się to nie zakończy, więc na pewno będziemy robili przerwy na jakieś inne gierki w międzyczasie oczywiście, no i tyle, także cóż, dobra. I robimy chwilową przerwę, no i siadamy do gry w Diablo oczywiście. Teraz tak jeszcze tylko w roli przypomnienia, jest to też i również obecnie stream testowy. Zamiast Streamlabsa testujemy sobie Restreamka, ewentualnie zobaczyć jak to działa, czy to działa w ogóle i tyle. Więc widzę, że w miarę dobrze to wszystko funkcjonuje. No to cóż, słuchajcie moi kochani. Ja się z wami na razie żegnam, do zobaczenia za niedługo i tyle. Trzymajcie się, hej!